hope is important. We are living in hopeless times. We are living in times in which we are sold the myth of hopelessness. We are told that the future holds nothing for us. In fact, we are told that the future perhaps will not exist in a very, very short space of time. And this only serves to make us feel and put us in a hopeless position. It fills us with fear. It makes us fearful. We don't know what to do in the present because we hold such large amounts, such tremendous fear for the future. It leaves us incapable of being ourselves. It leaves us in a state of powerlessness. Now, we are not referring to the powerlessness of saying, well, we are unable to do anything about it, what can we do? We are talking about the powerlessness of actually being unable to create the future that we want. Perhaps we need to take a step back and explain. We are all part of God. We are tiny splinters of total perfection, all power, all knowing, all understanding. We are tiny fragments of that greater power. Although we don't really understand that, although we don't really appreciate the significance, the awesomeness of being part of that one. What that means for us is that as splinters of God, and we are not saying that we are God, for that has been thrown at us by many religions, saying that we profess that all are God and all are gods. No, what we are saying is that we are fractions, tiny splinters, pieces, the essence of God. And being the essence of God means that we have the same capacities, albeit in a, let us say, a smaller way, reduced, proportionally less, but still the same. We are capable of creation. In fact, were we to know, we would know that we are creating in every moment, every time that we have a thought, every time that we speak the word. We are creating. For thoughts, images, and words have power. They have power because we are powerful, and we are able to turn those thoughts, those feelings, those images, and those words into reality. We have always been this way. It's nothing new, and many have talked about it. But in this world, in this day in which we live, there are factions, there are groups which aim to subdue this understanding, to subdue this knowledge. The knowledge is out there. However, as a race, as a population, we are not paying attention to it. We can create, but we can create for good, or we can create for bad. We can create a wonderful future, or we can create a disastrous future. We can create our reality in a wonderful way, and we can create our reality in a dreadful, horrendous, hellish way. For we are creators of our own reality. And when a group of us come together and we begin to think, we begin to become excited about a potential future, then that group augments the creation, the speed of creation, and the size of that creation We talk about group consciousness or the group unconscious. We talk about critical mass, in which, with enough people, reality, the fabric of reality changes. With enough people considering, thinking, becoming excited, hoping, wishing, reality is created. And we must understand our power. For also we have the power of negative creation. We can create scenarios and futures that we do not want. How do we do that? Well, we do that by focusing on what it is that we do not want. For there is no distinction between focusing on what we want and focusing upon what we do not want. There is no distinction. The focus is the creation. It isn't the thought. It is the focus. So if we focus on what we do not want, we will get that. And if we focus on what we want, we will get that. It's a very simple process, but one that has been totally misunderstood. Except by these factions that wish to keep us in fear, keep us in misunderstanding, in confusion. For when we are in confusion, when we are fearful, our creative process is nullified. Our creative process does not work. We focus on what we do not want, for that is fear. And therefore we continue to keep the same reality. We continue it with our negative, fearful thoughts. And so nothing changes. And there is nothing more fearful than the situation these days. We are being constantly bombarded with fear-mongering, with fear of everything, fear of the future, fear of the end of the world, fear of dying because of virus, fear of every kind of attack of foreign states who all want to come and kill us. We are inundated with fearful stories. And this is leaving mankind as a whole in a place of inability, in a non-creative place. And this must change. And this will change. For as we've said before, mankind is waking up. The vibration of this planet is changing. And so people are starting to think on new levels, at new levels. People are starting to see into the darkness. The things that were once hidden are now becoming visible. And so people are waking up in many different ways. Some people spiritually, some people actually just becoming aware of what is happening in the world of politics, what is happening in the world of show business, what is happening in the world of fill in the blank. Awakening does not need to be a spiritual awakening. Awakening is seeing with your eyes and seeing the truth, the reality, and not the myth that has been stitched together. And so we need hope. And for this reason the emissaries come forward with a message of hope. And the message of hope is there so that we have something to cling to. We have something that we can focus on. For when we begin to focus on hope, then we begin to fill with hope, and we become hopeful. When we are hopeful, nothing can touch us. When we are hopeful, when we have excitement for the future, then we become a different being. We become a different entity. We are filled with an energy that protects us. When we are filled with this hope and excitement, we then begin to create. We then begin to create at our full capacity, we become creators once more, just as we always have been. And so we commend you. Turn away from the fear. The fear is not real. The fear is manufactured. And it is manufactured on purpose. Understand this. It is manufactured on purpose to keep mankind from creating. For when we create as a body, as a whole, we are unstoppable. We are, in their eyes, dangerous. Because mankind has the capacity to completely change everything, just by thinking it so. And we understand that that might sound flippant. It is not. As a man thinketh, so is he. As we think, so we are. It is the thinking, it is the expectation that creates. And when we are not expecting, or when we are expecting the worst, then that creation is nullified. Our power of creation no longer works at optimum. We want to explain to you that there is great hope for the future. There is great hope for now. For all you need to understand is that when you change the perspective in your mind, when you begin to expect good, when you get excited about good things happening, when you would get excited about a wonderful future there for further generations to experience and explore this life, when we expect that to happen, then that is exactly and precisely what will happen. And when we as a group, as a whole, begin to generate that kind of creative expectation, then it can happen in the blink of an eye. And so your job now is to begin to look at your life and understand from which areas there is coming fear. From which areas are you feeling fearful about the future? Where is that fear being generated? And by whom and by what? And your job is to begin to cut the ties, to begin to switch off. Now that is not always easy. There are many, many, many people who wish to instill the same fear that they feel in you. It is a natural reaction. It's a reaction of group protection. Everybody wants to protect one another. And so we pass on these messages of fear. But when we understand that the messages of fear are false expectations appearing real. They are false. They are invented for a very specific purpose. Once we understand that, and once we understand that we are, as splinters of God, are creators, then nothing can make us fearful anymore. And what is there to fear? For this life is not all there is. This is but a tiny portion of what we have available. And so, what is the problem? Why should we fear? We know that we are going to die at some point, for that is the natural process of life. And so death should not hold any fear for us, for it has been this way since the beginning. And yet, we are still capable of being terrified about possible death. Really, it's probable death. It's definite death. Death will come. And so there's no need to be afraid of it. We are part of God. Our journey is to return to God. Our journey is to return to God in forgiveness. And so, we need not fear anything, for we are forever. We are forever. We are endless, immortal. And this body is merely a vehicle that helps us to experience what we need to experience on this plane. And that is all. We lose the body, we lose nothing. An old friend departs, and that is all. The essence of who we are, and the essence from which we came, is there and always will be, shining like a beacon. And so begin to fill yourselves with hope, people. Fill yourselves with hope. Understand that there is hope for this planet. There always has been. This planet will continue long after we are no longer here. Long after we are no longer here. And there is hope beyond this existence. There is beauty and wonder and excitement beyond this existence. And so we should enjoy this time here, for we are here to enjoy, to learn, to understand, to grow, and to prosper. And that is all. And so our job is to become filled with hope, to fill ourselves up with the joy of living, and understand that the future holds only good, if we so wish it.